Do you ever pick up your knitting and you look at it and you say, oh my God, what happened to this? Did I ruin it? Do I have to start over? Can I fix it? The answer to this particular problem is yes, you can fix it. It's called a drop stitch and it's got some laddering. Today we're going to go over how you can tell if you have a drop stitch in two different scenarios and how you fix a drop stitch. My name's Amanda, and on this channel, I like to talk about things I've knit, things I want to knit, and things that have helped me along the way. So I'm doing a series of tutorials. I'm going to link a little playlist for you so you can check out my other tutorials and see if they're helpful to you. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to read your knitting for a dropped stitch and how to fix it. Let's get into it. So here we are with our swatch, and it does have a dropped stitch in it already. So what I always hope to do in these tutorials is to do something that is called reading your knitting. I want to show you if there's something that's not quite right or it doesn't look right to you, how do you figure it out? So that's what we're going to do with dropped stitches. And I'm going to show you how to pick up this dropped stitch. So I was knitting back and forth here in stockinette. I just finished my purl row and I was getting ready to do my knit row, and I noticed there's this funky little bump here. And if I pull down and bring this a little closer, you can see that it's left a hole in my knitting and there's this weird little bar behind. I can turn this over and once again you can see that elongated bar. It should be nice and short like the rest of these, and a big gap, and it's the 1 2 3 4. It's the fourth stitch over if we're doing the knit row. I don't want to get myself confused here, which is not hard sometimes. So if I look and I say, oh yes, I have dropped this stitch, what I do is I grab the little loop and I pull on it a little bit. Make sure if you find it, well, don't be afraid, but if you find a drop stitch and you do this, I'm going to show you what happens in a little bit. First, I want to show you how to fix this drop stitch. If you pull on it this way, what's going to happen is a whole bunch of your stitches are going to come off down this column and you're going to have a funky looking ladder. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to I always put a stitch marker on, especially if I have to knit a little ways before I get to that drop stitch, so it doesn't do that laddering thing. Or if I see a drop stitch over here, I want to put a stitch marker on to hold that so it doesn't get worse. Okay, so now we're going to knit across our row to where our dropped stitch is. Again, it's a little challenging to look through the window or the camera and see what I'm doing. So there I've knit my 4 stitches and I am to my dropped stitch. So I'm confident I'm not going to unravel a whole bunch of them, but I can tug on my stitch marker a little bit, and I have my little handy dandy crochet hook, and what you're going to do is you're going to insert it through that loop. At this point you can take your stitch marker off or you can leave it on. I like to take it off because what I do is that loop, once it's on the crochet hook, I like to hold that down with my index finger, and then I'm going to slip my crochet hook behind the elongated bar. Then I'm going to hold my stitch here and I'm going to pull that loop through and around that elongated bar. I've just picked up my stitch. Okay, you see that? Looks a little bit like the other one. Now I'm going to treat my crochet hook like my right hand knitting needle. I'm going to take my left needle and I'm going to slip it on there, and then you're going to rotate your crochet hook so you don't grab it with the hooky part. Okay, and then you've got your stitch back on there. Okay, and you can keep on knitting. Next, I'm going to show you what happens if you drop a stitch and you didn't know it and you stretched out your knitting. Oh my gosh, that's that funky looking ladder I was telling you about. So that's what I was saying. If you notice this in your knitting and you haven't knit over to that way, you can hold this place with a stitch marker until you get there. Okay, it's kind of like a little lifeline for you. So here again, I have my handy dandy crochet hook. No, not to worry, this looks really awful and scary, but it's really not. So once I get my loop on there, my stitch on there, I'm just going to keep grabbing each rung of the ladder. Make sure you're going in order. Don't skip, or you're going to end up with some really bizarre texture in your knitting. Some people might not mind that, but you might want it. So there, I've picked them all up. Again, going to just take my left hand needle, use my crochet hook like it is a knitting needle, and take it off. And there, I've picked up my row. And now I can continue knitting. So now you know what a dropped stitch looks like, and now you know if a dropped stitch has caused laddering, how you pick it up and fix your knitting.